another student I worked with in the last year from a loving family and from a really good school, but the school was on Staten Island. The school was a Catholic school, and this is a young gay man. I realized, number one, the family really wanted the son to stay at this prestigious boys' school. And all I could think of is, how could he stay?
Keep going. Start from the beginning or something.
Two of my friends just pulled me aside and they said that they wanted to talk to me. And they just asked me straight up, they were like, "Are you gay?" I just was like, you know what? I'm just gonna admit to it because I'm sick of living in lie and living in fear. So I was just like, yeah, I am.
According to the New York Times, lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people are the most likely targets of hate crimes in America. LGBT people are twice as likely to be targeted as African Americans, and the rate of hate crimes against them has surpassed that of Jewish people.
I was just turned 18, and my best friend, she kissed me on my birthday, and I told another friend about it, and she went and told the pastor, the bishop from our church, and I got kicked out of youth groups. I didn't exactly choose to come out.
I came out as bisexual when I was 9th grade, and then I was kind of bullied because of that.
Actually, one time I was taking the ferry home, and I was coming from Manhattan, actually, and this group of people were just walking out of the ferry, and they were like, I wasn't even doing anything. I was so far away from them too, and I wasn't even wearing anything. I was wearing short shorts, but that was it. And they were like, look at this faggot, and they were like, you should try pussy, you would like it. These are my neighbors that have the Blue Lives Matter flags.
Oh no.
Yeah. This is my house.
Pulling up to Ben's house.
Hey.
Oh, look at little Ben.
I really want to find that picture of me in a dress.
Does your grandma know you're gay?
No. I feel like that would just kill her, so. I think this was my first girlfriend.
Aww.
I forget her name. I had so many girlfriends when I grew up.
What do you want? Smash. So, why do you have silence equals death up?
It was a movement in the 80s, during the AIDS epidemic, and the government just wasn't doing anything to find research in medicine to treat AIDS, and people were dying, so they created this movement. So, do you want to tell the story when I came out to you?
I came downstairs and you were drunk and crying. You told me that you were gay. You kept saying please don't hate me, please don't hate me. Then I already knew fine. The way you acted and all that. Also when you were talking to
Oh yeah, I low-key had a relationship with a guy even when I was still in the closet.
that kid that was went to Fordham.
Yeah. I forgot about that.
I forget how.
I forgot about that, yeah.
Mommy would look at your phone and like
She looked at my phone?
she was like crying and she was like, I don't know what to do, and like.
How do you think that mommy and daddy feel about it now?
Feel about it now?
Mm-hmm.
I think they like accept it, but like I think they'll always like never have like
Yeah.
wanted it, like if they had to choose which way.
I mean, I definitely think that my mom, like, wouldn't have chose, like, she wouldn't have wanted this for me. But, yeah. And I don't know anything. I don't know what my dad thinks at all. We don't talk about it. The people around me weren't accepting. My parents weren't accepting of it. People that I went to school with weren't accepting of it. So yeah, I definitely was like afraid because it's not like, it wasn't something that was, it was something that was frowned upon where I'm from. I grew up in a very conservative area where like, you know, if you weren't white and straight and a male for that part, then, you know, you don't fit in with society.
So a community is made up of the people in it. And if people in that community only come from certain experiences, certain races or classes or genders or sexualities, then that's going to influence the culture and climate of a community.
It's Staten Island. It's just it's a different place in the world. It's got its own little thing, you know. Everyone's an asshole. It's Staten Island.
I live in the North Shore. I find there are a lot more varieties of people and communities, but I find that there are other sections that seem to be a little more monotone.
You know, I was in a little fast food restaurant, and I think they didn't want to serve me because I looked too queer.
Approximately 86% of our borough, according to like some study that I've read, voted for our current president.
Actually, 56.1% of Staten Island voted for Trump. According to the New York Times, Staten Island voted for Trump at a higher percentage than Texas.
According to the Washington Post, on February 22, 2017, the Department of Education and Justice rolled back the Obama administration's stance that transgender children had the right to use the school bathroom that corresponds to their gender identity.
It's not only scary that he's like rolling back protections, like there was a federal protection for trans students, for example, and he rolled that back. So I think it's no mistake that he's really trying to reframe and reshift into some really repressive and hateful things. And it's scary because both the laws and policies like have an impact, and like the social cultural stuff that he's doing really has an impact as well.
Yeah, Nicole Malliotakis. My dad put a Nicole Malliotakis sign on our front lawn and I ripped it down. I was like, no. She voted against gay rights in 2011.
This is not what we stand for,
Yeah.
Dad. Nicole Malliotakis is a New York State Assemblywoman representing Staten Island and the Republican candidate for mayor of New York in 2017. According to the Daily News, she voted against gay marriage in 2011. Malliotakis has changed her mind about gay marriage, but she's continued to vote against GENDA. GENDA is a proposed New York law which adds gender identity and expression as a protected class in the state's human rights and hate crime laws, because she says it's too concerned with transgender individuals' access to bathrooms.
Despite her history on LGBT issues, 70.71% of Staten Island voted for Malliotakis to be mayor of New York, according to Staten Island Live.
How do you think that the Staten Island community feels towards the LGBTQ community?
People are not more comfortable with us, like, you know. They say they are, but they're not. Like, I can see that, we all can see that. If you're comfortable with it, why do I have to look over my shoulders every time?
Right.
Why do I have to turn the block or peek before I like turn the corner or anything like that?
Have you been harassed? Have you offensive things been said to you, specifically on Staten Island?
Of course, actually, like in school, like in IS-61 I used to go to, and they used to like write books about me and like, how would you say, what's that word? Hateful. They used to say hateful things. When I got the book, it was like I was like going to my class. It was kind of late. I had a late pass. Was going, and I looked in the book, and I'm like, oh, like I'm famous, in the school. I thought I was like something good.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. So when I opened it, it said it was like my face, like my picture cut out. Like how they cut out pictures and just like glue it to the So it was glued to the book, and it was like a hanging, like a whole.
A noose?
Yes,
Yeah,
a noose. And they was like, oh, hang yourself. You should jump off a roof. You should kill yourself. Your family doesn't love you.
This borough has such mixed attitudes towards LGBTQ people, and it can be difficult to find a safe space, a space where you know that you won't be judged or treated differently because you identify as LGBTQ. We have not had warm reception when we reach out to the Catholic high schools and even like the Catholic college here on Staten Island.
Again, it was an all-boys Catholic high school on Staten Island. So, it's like a bad mix for a gay kid to be going to school in. They would call me like a faggot, and I would walk into the lunchroom and everyone would look at me and say, that's the gay kid. I posted a picture on Instagram with me and my ex-boyfriend, and it's just like, it leaked throughout the whole school. Like the whole entire school screenshot the picture, was showing it around, and it was just like such a big thing for no reason. Like why did it why is that so important to you?
I would say that a lot of young LGBTQ people here in Staten Island feel isolated at school. I'm happy to report that all the public high schools here on Staten Island have thriving gender sexuality alliances. That's really, really wonderful.
A GSA is a Gender and Sexualities Alliance, also known as a Gay-Straight Alliance. It is a student-run club, typically in a high school or middle school, which provides a safe place for students to meet, support each other, talk about issues related to sexual orientation and gender identity and expression, and works to end homophobia and transphobia.
There wasn't a GSA, but I actually tried to start one. I went to one of my teachers that was gay, actually, because I figured that he would be supportive of it since he's a part of the community. And he was just like, I don't think that this is gonna work. Like, this isn't the right school for it. All these feelings that I was feeling about the school and how I was being treated, it was all validated then. That I really wasn't represented, and I really, I didn't matter in that school. My junior year was that was it. That was when I really knew that I needed to leave. And I think the GSA, the whole thing with that, I think that was another factor that was the last straw. Honestly, it's the best decision I've made in my whole life besides coming out, because I can't imagine my life where I would be if I was still there. I have so many opportunities now. I have so many new friends, so many, I just feel so much more accepted. I can't imagine what my life would have been like if I was still there. City As is just a remarkable place, honestly, in my opinion. It's really the most accepting community I've been a part of.
How does City Schools support LGBTQ youth? I think there are many ways that we do it. What we do is, as a faculty, we say, look, here are really no-nonsense, clear community standards for how we behave and how we support each other.
One of the ways that City As High School creates a safe environment for LGBT youth is through the Out for Safe Schools badge campaign. At City As, several faculty and staff can be seen wearing this badge.
These are kind of like mobile badges that, you can walk around and be a mobile safe space for a student.
Yes, and in our school, so we don't have that badge, but students also took the initiative to create a ribbon just to identify those that support them in their communities.
There's also the issue of education that's not LGBTQ inclusive. We don't learn our history in school. Sex education is not LGBTQ inclusive.
Ben wanted to talk to Alan, the principal of City As, to bring about proposals and ideas to make City As a safer place for all students.
So, how do you think that schools can change their curriculum to speak more to LGBTQ youth?
We are changing our curriculum so that from a very young age,
students are able to understand that their sense of identity is seen as important in our history and is also seen as something that we acknowledge and we value.
How can this school and other schools rethink sexual education towards the LGBT community? Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes, sex ed curriculum is designed by the Department of Health or some outside agency. And so our work is going to be taking that presenter and their point of view and really helping them shape that so that it really targets the questions and concerns that are coming from our students.
We want to make sure that we're able to have not only classroom environments, but hallway environments, and the interactions that we have with all of them be a place where people can say, look, this feels like home. This feels better than home.
So our school becomes, in some ways, a surrogate family and a surrogate home, but they can't sleep here. And they can only get 2 meals a day here. And sometimes, like I say, that's barely enough. So that just, I wish I could change that. Sometimes it's hard. Your circumstance was one of the most compelling, fascinating, amazing cases of just this. I felt like I was an interpreter, like going between your parents and like understanding what it must be like to be in an oppressive school. I couldn't imagine. You needed us and we needed you, you know? Yeah. So is it okay to speak without using names of your circumstance? I met the young person at an open house, which is a very public environment. And most young people don't walk up and say, hi, I'm a 17-year-old gay male and I need to get out of this school because they're way too homophobic for me. So it took a couple of conversations with the mom and dad. And I invited them to come back to the school and meet with me and see the school a little more on another occasion, which I never do. But I knew that that young person needed this space.
It's hard to hear when she was talking about my story, you know? It was hard to hear, like, because a lot of the things that she said, I didn't know that she, like, had done for me. And then, like, it brought me, you know, back to a time when my parents, like, were, like, still very unaccepting and, like, didn't want me coming to City as they thought that it was a school that, like, only, you know, high school dropouts go to, and that I was gonna get mixed in with the wrong crowd. After the open house, they kind of understood more because they learned more about the school. They weren't just, like, you know, having an ignorant bias about what the school was. But yeah, and then I ended up coming here and it's great. My parents are actually on the PTA now, so they really love the school now, yeah. Why don't you play that song that you used to play for me and Elisa? What was that song?
All right. I remember it, okay.
My parents are definitely a lot more accepting than they were when I first came out to them, but they still have the same personality, you know. So, you know, I still fight with them over things because they're the same person, even though they're more accepting of me. I mean, we might not necessarily fight over me being gay, but we do still fight a lot, and and I you know, I don't really have a strong relationship with them. Yeah, we're okay. That's the word for it. Just okay.
people don't understand, they're ignorant. And then they realize how brave it takes to be you, how powerful you are to be able to like be you in the face of all of that. And some of the same people that like were calling me, you know, anti-LGBT stuff turned around when I started a GSA in my high school and started to like support those things. You don't have to be harassed. You don't deserve to be bullied. You don't deserve to be told you can't be somewhere with who you want or express your gender how you want, use the bathroom that you want. You actually do have a right, even if your school doesn't have a policy, even if there aren't federal protections, like there are people that believe and know that you have a right to self-determine your gender. You have a right to express who you love and who you're attracted to.
The advice I'd give to LGBTQ youth facing discrimination is to keep, can I curse? No. Okay, is to keep fucking fighting.
You're the boss, applesauce. You rule, own it. It's your world. Make it your movie your way and just own it.
I think that if a child tells their parents, hey, I have a girlfriend or same-sex partner, they should just be normalized. It should be the same way as bringing home someone who's of the opposite sex.
Just don't look at your kid any different. Like, your kid is telling you something that wouldn't be told to anybody else in confidence, and doesn't make them any different. They're still the same person, inside and out.
Progress will hit us, it will come, but not without a fight.
It's not only about the president, it's about this whole like white men fascist culture that like has like came into our society. It exists so much in Staten Island, you know? So I think that like I have like the button on my backpack. I want people to know that I'm a part of the resistance, because if not me, then who?